Congresswoman, as you well know, the Trump administration has ordered throughout the federal government restrictions or a complete banning of anything dealing with diversity, equity, inclusion. It's also using the power of the federal government with major universities and funding on things related to diversity, equity, inclusion. I know you oppose that. Why, and what do you think the dangers therein are?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is a workaround for getting around the...
Jasmine Crockett is clearly living rent-free in the minds of everyone in MAGA world. She knows exactly how to get under their skin. And what makes it even better is that it's never just about embarrassing them. When they try to clap back, it almost always blows up in their faces. That's exactly what happened when Jasmine Crockett delivered a sharp on-air takedown of MAGA, leaving Fox News' Jesse Waters completely unraveling and looking ridiculous in the process. We're going to break down everything that happened, but before we dive in, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy our content. It really helps the channel grow and means a lot. Now, let's start by listening to what Jasmine Crockett had to say during her CBS interview, where she didn't hold back in calling out MAGA.
Congresswoman, as you well know, the Trump administration has ordered throughout the federal government restrictions or a complete banning of anything dealing with diversity, equity, inclusion. It's also using the power of the federal government with major universities and funding on things related to diversity, equity, inclusion. I know you oppose that. Why, and what do you think the dangers therein are?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is a workaround for getting around the Civil Rights Act. They are packaging it up in a very different way. But the goals of diversity, equity, and inclusion have always been to really more so elaborate on the Civil Rights Act. And I think that that is what is so scary for so many Black Americans that look at a colleague that I never got to serve at, but they look at the stories of the John Lewises and they know the struggles, they know the fights that so many that came before us engaged in, only to have people trample upon that progress and say, you know what, you are not enough. And just to prove it, we are going to defund you. That doesn't make sense. And honestly, it is not what's best for America. What I always tell people is that as someone who had a business major with an emphasis in finance, you always wanted a diverse portfolio. You always want diversity when it comes to our energy, as someone who had to deal with the winter storm in Texas. So why is it that diversity somehow is now the boogeyman and is bad when it comes to our workforce? When you are trying to market and make sure that you can make money from all Americans, you may want to engage in the perspective of all Americans to make sure that your product can get there. And I'll give you this final example. We saw that Target decided that they were going to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So guess what? We took our diverse dollars elsewhere. In fact, it was Costco that said that they were going to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what have you seen? You have seen record growth from Costco at a time in which Donald Trump is killing our economy. So if you want to survive, if you actually want to do better and thrive, then my guess is that you should embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion, because that's who we are in this country. It is the American thing.
Congressman, you are talked about frequently as someone who might be an emerging face of the Democratic Party. I want to have you listen to one of your colleagues in the House, Jason Crow. He'll come second. And Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey on the Democrat side, who did a long speech, 25 hours in the Senate. We'll play those sound bites back to back and get your reaction.
What we've been doing is inadequate, and we need to do more. I'm excited about this moment. I could feel folks waking up. I could feel the energy.
There are vast swaths of America who don't believe the system is working for them, and they're right. The system is not working for them. But that's why I'm a Democrat, to prevent the system from being rigged, and I'm very proud to do that work.
So both talk about inadequacy and a system that isn't working. How do you evaluate that?
Yeah, I think that they're absolutely right. I think that, number one, it's important that people understand that we know their pain, right? I traveled this country obviously advocating to make sure that Kamala Harris would become the next president of the United States. And as I traveled, I heard from so many people that just felt like government was broken. And so here it was, we kept talking about how we were going to make things better and that we were going to do things better. But most people said the system is already failed. I mean, so why are we going to try to fix something that we know has never worked for us. And so I think that is why they were curious about this guy who decided he wanted to take a sledgehammer to everything in our systems. I think that people are waking up and saying, well, wait a minute now, you can't get rid of the entire foundation. We at least need a foundation so that we can have something to build upon. But I think that it is important that people know that we are listening and we hear that they are in pain, and we are going to do more than just be the opposition, but we are also going to give them something that they can bank on. We are going to give them the policies and a system that will start to be reflective of all people.
Jasmine Crockett continues to be an incredible and unapologetic voice in our party. We say it all the time, but it's obvious she's struck a nerve with MAGA. What makes this even more hilarious is what happens over on Fox News, which we're about to check out. They have this habit of airing clips of Crockett, AOC, or other Democrats that they think make them look bad. But when you actually watch the clips, the message comes across as totally reasonable, like exactly the kind of person you'd want representing you in government. And that's exactly what happened here. Jesse Waters' over-the-top reaction was just the icing on the cake, completely ridiculous.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
All right, we've got to start with the first couple of completely ridiculous things here. Did Jesse Waters, who works at Fox News, seriously call Jasmine Crockett racist? Jesse Waters? I mean, come on. It's so smug and absurd. It's hard to respond to it with anything but laughter. Then he goes on to say, she's not authentic, which might be a fair criticism for some politicians, on both sides of the aisle, honestly. Plenty of Republicans are anything but genuine. But Jasmine Crockett, she's the exact opposite of inauthentic. She's fiery, unapologetically herself, and speaks with a level of honesty that clearly rattles people like him. And the clip they played of her, it was completely reasonable. She was just saying, yeah, immigration is good for America. We're a nation of immigrants. It helps lower inflation. It's vital to our economy, and you've all been talking about farmers. Totally logical, thoughtful, and something most people would agree with. So it's just funny watching them think they're making some kind of point when they're actually just airing clips that make her look even stronger. And then there's Jesse again, trying to act all macho. What, because he's on Fox? This whole idea that being able to talk without relying on talking points somehow makes you more manly is just laughable. It's another example of how disconnected MAGA media is from reality. And it's not just Waters. This kind of nonsense is everywhere, even when Trump's former people try to defend him on mainstream platforms. Just look at Peter Navarro, Trump's former trade advisor. Even Elon Musk has admitted Navarro doesn't know what he's talking about. He recently tried, and failed, to defend a market crash, and it was a total mess. Check out the clip.
My first question to you here, the bond markets got queasy here, according to the President of the United States, and it seems the Treasury market still shows some signs of queasiness. Has what's unfolded here fundamentally altered for the worse the foundation of our global financial system?
Look, just in a joking matter, I think CNBC is going to sue CNN for intruding on their financial analysis and all of that. And what I just heard in terms of the market analysis, I mean, like, that's to me is pure spin. You had the highest rise in stock market history yesterday. Of course, there's going to be a little pullback. The question is, what spin are you going to put on it back? It's just a normal retracement after a big day. It's no big deal. Let's look at where we are, and this is what's the good news for the American people. If you simply look where we are now, we've got a 10% global tariff in place, and we're taking in about probably $4 billion a day. Well, we were losing $4 billion. We're taking in about $2 or $3 billion now. So that's all to the good. We're clawing back some of that dangerous trade deficit, and we've set a 90-day negotiation in motion where at least 90 countries now want to come in and see us, and what they're going to do has literally offered us collectively hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of opportunity to bring manufacturing here, to sell energy there, and do all sorts of things to balance our trade. We are in a beautiful place. And look, folks in the media keep trying to stir people up, panic people. When yesterday we had the perfect result from the kind of negotiation Donald Trump does. Now the bond market, I don't know what you're upset about the bond market. We have yields coming down, which is great news for people who want to get a mortgage and home builders and all of that market. And for people who have consumer credit debt, that's good news. For people who want to go out and buy a car.
We've seen more selling of U.S. Treasuries, which again is the foundation of
the
the whole
auction
thing.
went fine yesterday. To be clear, the auction went fine. And for your viewers, what they had, the Treasury opens up a window for I think something like 15 or 30 minutes, and there's a bid, and we had a lot of participation in it. It went fine, and because the rest of the world thinks this is the best place to be. So I'm trying to figure out what's the problem. We've set in motion this beautiful negotiation schedule. We're going to have India, Australia, Great Britain, the EU, Japan, South Korea. They're all coming in. They've all been cheating us, and we're all going to get good deals from them to help the American people. We should be cheering.
I want to get to the timing on that in just a moment. But you said that what happened yesterday was beautiful with the stock market going up. It was clearly a reaction to what President Trump decided to do. Were you in the room? Were you a voice advocating for this pause? And just in a straightforward way, were you in the room with the president when he made this decision?
So that's the wrong question to ask. Was I part of the process?
Were you in the room?
Hang on.
Were you in the room?
You don't understand how this works. You don't have to be in the room to.
Well, with President Trump, actually, you often do.
Hang on. I never talk about, and I went to prison for this. I never talk about what happens in there. What happens in the Oval.
I'm not asking what was said, sir. I'm asking, were you there or were you not?
Let me tell you about the process, okay? The process is we've got Scott Besson, Howard Lutnick, Jameson Greer, Kevin Hassett, J.D. Vance, myself, Steve Marin at the CEA. We all discuss all these things, and we provide advice to the president, and he ultimately makes the decision. Everybody was on side, and everybody was in the loop on this, except for poor Jameson, because he was on the hill doing
testifying.
his job.
Let me play a little.
What's been really fascinating, if that's the right word, about MAGA's response to Donald Trump's tariff policy is that for once, they're not all on the same page. Normally, MAGA falls in line and parrots whatever talking points they're given, but this time, it's all over the place. And that just shows how nonsensical the tariff plan really is. Usually, their messaging is simple and easy to repeat, but now we're hearing everything from the market's up because of Trump to it's crashing because of Biden to actually the stock market doesn't matter to this was the biggest day ever, even though it wasn't. They say they want more manufacturing, except not that kind of manufacturing. And they're even cutting manufacturing investments from Biden's agenda. It's incoherent because the policy itself is incoherent. These people genuinely don't know what they're doing. Let's be real. We're going to keep calling it out for what it is. Stupidity. And if you appreciate us keeping it honest every day, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and if you made it to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, see you then.